So Mural it's been around for almost a year and a half. It's a program that was established by the British Council as part of its cultural relations offer, and its particular approach is to bring people together, particularly to understand and to do exactly what it says on the jar, which is mutual understanding through respect and learning.
ECHO is a non-profit organization that focuses on diversity and inclusion in education and the labor market. And the process that we focus on is what we call getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, which means that we discuss topics related to diversity and inclusion, but more specifically related to cultural diversity and the role that race and ethnicity plays in a Western society like the Netherlands.
The perspective of ECHO is to focus on institutional change, not an individual approach. So we didn't just want to train the target group that we are working with, but we actually wanted them to have the tools and possibilities and networks to create change within their own institutions.
What we've tried to do is to create a space where people feel safe enough to challenge themselves, to challenge each other, and to reflect critically on their own role in the diversity and inclusion work.
In the Mural project, we focused on actually working with those specific students, young professionals and some senior professionals, because they have an awareness already. They actually focus on working on issues of diversity and inclusion within their own context. So we decided to use that potential and to train them by actually letting them facilitate their own sessions.
Mostly we first started just to discuss really freely about the topic, and then we had a time to really reflect on it by making it more as a topic of ourselves, because we had to give like a workshop or we need to do something with it.
We also try to use interactive activities to engage in conversations and to really involve people in a process where they can use their skills and their talents in their own context with the frameworks and language and experience that we can offer.
From this perspective, they are actually able to also develop their own workshops and trainings that they could take back to their own contexts.
And that has also been a learning process for us as facilitators, because every single time we work with a group, we entered a different dynamic, because every group has a different composition in terms of demographics. And so with every group, we've learned from their questions, we've learned from their challenges, we've learned from their experiences and perspectives, and we've learned from their expertise.
In the program of Mural, we focused on 3 important dimensions of diversity and inclusion. The first one is race and ethnicity. The second one is refugee narratives. And the third one is LGBTQIA+. What we saw is that these dimensions of diversity are also represented within the target group that we were working with in the project.
So within ECHO, our main focus is race and ethnicity. And this is also the dimension that is most uncomfortable in Dutch society. We don't like to talk about race. So our challenge is to be color brave in a colorblind context. And that means that we discuss colonial legacy, colonial history, and how that impacts our daily lives. What it means for people of color to navigate predominantly white spaces, and what it means for white people to use the privilege that they have in settings to challenge power based on white dominance.
by like baby steps and being in a safe environment and trying and falling and trying and falling, you learn how to house topics that are really hard to talk about and sometimes really have a lot of emotion with it. Not really make the problem smaller, but make it more easily accessible to work with it.
And again, these are uncomfortable conversations, but they're necessary conversations. A big part of the work that we do is to really humanize people who are being dehumanized and to provide a space where people can find support and a network of people who want to help them. Not when they have their residence permit, but from the very beginning, they're here.
When I heard of the opportunity to do a refugee narrative workshop during Mural, I talked to my friend Cemal. I told him if we would tell about our personal stories anywhere, the best place to tell is Mural Echo community, because it is really safe environment. And the people that I felt myself as a friend after 1 hour, they shared the same ideas with us. They share the same goals with us. They would understand us even better than anyone else. And he accepted that. He told me, okay, then let's share it as honest as possible.
I participated in the refugee narratives workshop, so that was very new to me. I'm familiar with kind of the whole refugee system, but I wasn't, I've never really heard a personal story from an actual refugee, so that was enlightening for me and very touching to hear Cemal and Mustafa's story about being a refugee and having to flee their countries because it wasn't safe, and then to set up in a brand new country. For me, I've had an amazing childhood and upbringing, so to kind of listen to someone else's who has come from a difficult background, it was very interesting.
For us, it's an interesting conversation because within ECHO, we mostly work with people who were born and raised in the Netherlands. And so to have this fresh perspective from someone who is new to the Netherlands and who views the work that we do in a different light has been really enlightening.
The dimension of LGBTQIA+ issues came up from the participants of our local workshops. We developed the workshop of gender and sex in a plenary session with all of the participants, and they actually translated that into a workshop about LGBTQIA+ issues and to get more knowledge about what those letters actually meant.
And I also think it's important to have these discussions because even though we see each other as one, we all branch out to different stuff, so different cultures, different backgrounds, what you see yourself as. And I think it's important because even though as individuals we may, say, oh yeah, you're one of me, even though you've got your own culture, I've got my own culture, it's still important to respect their beliefs, their culture, and how they see stuff. And same with the LGBT community, I feel like even though now it's a big thing, you still accept it, even though you might not, agree, or some people might not agree to it, but I think it's still important to respect their ideas, respect what they want to say, and move forward.
We learned a lot from that, and it also showed that the diversity of our group was not just focusing on the dimension of cultural diversity, but it also shows the intersections with other dimensions like LGBTQIA+ issues, and also the need to reflect on those issues and how you can actually think about those dimensions in relation to each other.
After the Mural workshops, I have taken steps for my social action plan. One of the steps that I have taken is organizing a workshop which is called Discrimination in Professional Spaces, to discuss how to, if you encounter discrimination in your professional life, how you can deal with it. Another step that I have taken is I have created an online platform which focuses on the Black empowerment for the Black community in the Netherlands.
To kind of hold workshops working with young children, young people who may not have the opportunity to kind of explore things in like a creative platform. So with my skills, my experience, it'd be nice to kind of bring in a lot more creativity and just have a lot of fun and kind of unite people together.
The main thing is that I want to make an online platform for all the cultural diversity initiatives that there are within the Netherlands. Because there's like a really segregation and really divided over the Netherlands. So a place to unite all these organizations and initiatives.
I believe that in Greece, for example, there is a lack of information, a lack of knowledge. So what I would like to do is to give a motive, an extra motive to, you know, the society, the university society that I am also part of, and make them want to search and learn more by themselves.
My social action plan is to get medicine students from different cultures more into contact with each other and to have conversations with each other in order to get more cultural competent doctors in the future and right now.
Being involved in Mural has been a gift. It has been inspiring, and to me it has showed hope. Hope for the future, because at this time when you watch the news, it can be frightening. All the developments in the world can lead to, you know, negative thoughts on where we're going in this world. But when I look at Mural and the people who participate, I'm so optimistic about the future, because they are the ones who are contributing to the change. And they're not always the ones who are visible, but who are doing the work behind the scenes. But I've been behind the scenes, so I know what that looks like, and I know where we're heading. So it's a very hopeful experience to be engaged with all these motivated people and to know that the future is bright.